Talk about an understatement. Oh, look who's here. Is that Tampa?
That man doesn't need a haircut.
Riddick of Monday Night Football fame with an excellent suit on. Good to see you. It's been way too long.
He don't need a haircut.
He's bald and beautiful,
at all.
Stephen A.
He's good.
Nope, he's just glowing in his natural element. I like that. Low maintenance. Stephen A., I want to start with you. Do you think it's fair, Stephen A., to compare Mahomes to MJ?
No, it's not. Mahomes is phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's a champion. We get all of that. Last time I checked, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't play special teams. When you look at Michael Jordan, it's just comparing apples and oranges. The fact of the matter is, when you're a basketball player, particularly a superstar basketball player, you can have more of an impact because you're playing on both ends of the court. You're playing offense and you're playing defense. We're talking about somebody in Michael Jordan that was all first team, all NBA defensive team 9 times on the defensive side of the ball. Forget the fact that he averaged over 30 and led the league in scoring at about 10 times. Or forget about that. Forget about the 6 championships, the 6 finals, MVPs, all of that stuff. We know what he could do offensively. But he also was dominant on the defensive end of the floor. That's not Patrick Mahomes. That's not any football player. And that's what we've got to take into consideration. Remember, we marveled at Bo Jackson, who not only played 2 sports, who played 2 sports, actually. We marveled at primetime Deion Sanders because he could play. He was the elite cornerback, the best to ever do it, but he also could play wide receiver, particularly when he was in Dallas. We marveled at stuff like that because it's such an aberration and it's something that you simply do not see in the sport of football. We have to take that into consideration. Patrick Mahomes is phenomenal. I'm not taking anything away from him. But let's stick to him as a quarterback. When we start talking about comparing him to MJ, I think that's going a bit too far. I don't subscribe to that theory at all.
It is fair to compare him to MJ so far. Because obviously we're not saying he plays defense. It's 2 different sports. And even a quarterback does not have as much sway on the success of his team as a superstar in the NBA. So in that sense, there'll never be a Michael Jordan of football, and there never really has been. Remember when we used to say who's the GOAT? When we were kids, it was like Jerry Rice, I guess, but he's not a quarterback. And now it's Tom Brady, right? But it's not like when your eyes were on Tom Brady, you said, oh, that's the best I've ever seen. Mahomes is the first, Lawrence Taylor maybe, but he was a defensive player in his prime, wasn't 20 years long. Walter Payton, some people, again, not a quarterback. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, let me tell you why it's fair to compare him to Jordan. When you put your eyes on MJ, right out the gate, you were like, that just looks different. I know Dr. J and his contemporary was Dominique Wilkins. He looks different than those guys. The eyeball test says you're looking at something different. And then the numbers backed it up. You know, you saw the success, like, oh, my God, yeah, the numbers verify what my eyes are seeing. And then the team success as soon as they put another all-star with Jordan. Just one. First time he played with another all-star, Scottie Pippen, it was a wrap for the rest of the NBA. 6 for 6. No Game 7 in the finals, right? He was unlike anything we'd seen before. So what does it mean to be the Michael Jordan of your sport? Does it simply mean you're the best? No. It means you're the best and it ain't close. That when you put your eyes on the guy, you've never seen anything like it. The numbers tell you the same thing, and the team success backs it all up. Patrick Mahomes, the first time he started, went to the AFC Championship game. A defensive pre-snap penalty lost them the game, or else I think he would have won the Super Bowl. Remember, Tom Brady threw an interception, game over. Oh, they get the ball back. Mahomes never touches it again. That was the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history against the Rams. I have to believe the Chiefs score enough to beat the Rams. He should be working on a three-peat right now. He threw 50 touchdowns and 12 interceptions and won MVP. First time he touches the ball as a starter, guys. Now, the next season, he gets even better in terms of the rates, touchdown, interception, everything, wins Super Bowl MVP. So when you first saw Mahomes early in that preseason, and Louis Riddick was raving about him, and I came out on this show and said, after watching him in the preseason, guys, I'm going to tell my grandkids I saw this guy throw. He reminds you of Brett Favre, but without the mistakes. He reminds you of Aaron Rodgers, but with more gunslinger in him. I've never seen that before, my eyes told me. And then the numbers started telling the same story. The MVP and the Super Bowl MVP, and here he is again in the Super Bowl. And guys, they're favored to win, but they should be the underdogs. Their offensive line is in tatters. The Bucs are firing on all cylinders, defense, offense, everything. They're at home, but the Chiefs are favored. And it's not because of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They're excellent. It's because people don't even realize how good they think Patrick Mahomes is. If you take any quarterback in the history of football and put him in Patrick Mahomes' place right now, the Chiefs are underdogs. In that way, he's like Michael Jordan. It is a fair comparison so far.
Yeah, I think, look, I think this is all about impact. And I think, look, Stephen, I get your point, because when you're trying to compare football to basketball, we understand the limitations that football has in terms of the ability of football players to impact, us societally on a global perspective the same way basketball players can, because of the fact that they play, two positions in basketball, offense and defense, because they're more visible, they don't wear helmets and all. These guys have a worldwide impact that is far greater than, any other sport, maybe other than soccer, obviously. But I think for Patrick in particular, when you're making this comparison, I'm with you, Max, in this regard. He does things at a level, the likes of which, honestly, people who have played the game, people who are playing the game, are all admitting we've never seen it like that before. And that's what reminds you of Michael Jordan. When we saw Michael Jordan first come into the league, there were people saying, we've never seen a guy fly like this, dunk like this, move like this, explode like this. And you're saying the same thing about Patrick now, playing a position that obviously is one of the most scrutinized, one of the most valuable positions in all sports, that being football. And he's doing it at a young age, right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, he's successful individually. Right out of the gate, his team is successful as far as winning Super Bowls. And had they gone to 3 Super Bowls, if this was the 3rd Super Bowl they were going to, and not just the 2nd, and he does win this game, and then it's about the longevity. If he's able to string together 4, 5, 6 of them, like Tiger Woods talked about, and ESPN picked up where he said, look, it's not just about flashes. It's about longevity. It's about staying power. Can you sustain this for a decade? If Patrick's able to string together those types of things, I don't think there's any question that you'll be talking about his impact on sports overall the same way you talk about the all-time greats in their respective sports. And to me, Michael Jordan, there is no one like that. There really isn't. I mean, he is, when you talk about, I remember going to see Michael Jordan play down in Atlanta when I lived down there. I remember going to see him at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, against Charles Barkley. And literally sitting there, this starry-eyed, like watching him play going, he's just, like, he doesn't seem human. He shouldn't be able to do these things that he's doing because no one else can do them. It's the same way when you watch Patrick Mahomes. He shouldn't be able to do the things that he's doing because we've never seen anybody else do them. And I know that kind of, those kind of grandiose proclamations are hard to get your mind around for people. But, as someone who played with Deion Sanders and literally watched him do things that I'd never thought I'd see someone do before, I get the same feeling watching Patrick, talking to Patrick like I've talked to him, and continuing to watch him grow, that this guy's going to go down as one of the greatest individual players within the team context that we have ever seen.
Lewis.
Ever.
No one with sense would dispute what you're saying about Patrick Mahomes' greatness and what we will go down saying about him when all is said and done. But I must ask you a question, because when we're talking about him, we're not talking about results, guys. We understand that there's a whole bunch of components that come into the equation that dictate ultimate results. We're talking about his greatness as a talent. Are you sitting here with a straight face, Louis Riddick, and telling me you've never seen anybody like you've never seen Aaron Rodgers do any of these things? It's never happened?
Stephen A., I know how much you love Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, I do.
I love Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers.
Get him, Lou.
Patrick has a level of skill in his arm that is like go-go gadget-like. It's different, man. It's just flat out different. And I know this is a subjective thing, right? There's no way to really quantify this as to who has more arm talent. You can't put him on some kind of machine and measure his arm talent next to Aaron's, next to John Elway's, who I played against, Dan Marino's, who I played against, all these guys. This guy, though, is different. And I think people, his peers, present day and guys who played before him, would tell you the same thing. I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that.
Let me throw this in. Because I will defer. I will openly defer to you. You know better than me. I got that.
But it's subjective, Stephen. And,
I asked that question in this respect. Because when I think about, and I've often said this to Max, in the history of football, I have never seen a successful quarterback throwing to himself. Who you throw to matters.
True.
When I think about Ed Coryell with Dan Fouts, who could fling the football, I think about Charlie Joyner. I think about Kellen Winslow. Okay, Kellen Winslow Sr. When I thought about Dan Marino, I couldn't forget that, damn it, Mark Clayton and Mark Super Duper were his targets. I mean, it was something special to behold. And we know that Dan Marino couldn't scramble, but we know he could fling the football. I'm looking at Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and I'm just saying to myself, if I'm going to say what you say about Patrick Mahomes, Max, Lewis, what I always say to myself, away from y'all, just sitting at home watching, is this. If Aaron Rodgers was throwing the football to them, would he look worse?
Well, let me flip it.
I don't think so.
Let me flip it around.
Sure.
Let me flip it around because I do get this. I get this point, if this is the point, Stephen A. Michael Jordan came around. We've never seen anything like him. I thought by the time his third full season, right, because he got hurt his second year, that's the greatest player of all time. I don't know why people weren't admitting it at the time. He should have won the MVP every year. I mean, Larry Bird knew it, and he was the champion of basketball at the time. He was the MVP, and he was like, that dude's better than me.
God and Jim Shorts.
But Bird didn't play like Jordan. You're right. Bird didn't play like Jordan. I was a little kid. I was like, oh, my God, I hate Larry Bird. I'm a Knicks fan. But who's ever going to be better than that? And then Jordan came along. The difference with Mahomes is there was a dude who is very similar to him who'd come along named Aaron Rodgers. There's no two ways about that. That is a difference. Rodgers is closer to Mahomes than anyone was to Jordan at the time he played. But could you imagine Mahomes on that Green Bay team this year in the red zone before the end of the first half going 0 for 3, and they have to kick a field goal? Could you imagine him at the end of the game seeing daylight, not running, and missing a receiver? Mahomes has the extra element to me that Rodgers doesn't, that gunslinger thing that Favre had, that extra little juice that makes you believe at all times his team is going to win because they have him. He's like, as I keep saying, Favre and Rodgers had a baby. It's all the best qualities of each without any of the drawbacks.
But what makes me uncomfortable with that is that we act like Patrick